Hello once again. Welcome and welcome back. My name is Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. It is the day after, the morning after, a little Super Tuesday fatigue setting in, right? The dust is clearing, and a couple things we can gather from this 14-state early voting is that clearly the Democratic establishment cut deals with Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar, who dropped out only hours before Super Tuesday, basically, to make sure that they could put some support behind Joe Biden. I believe they also cut a deal with Liz Warren, who's obviously running out of money, to make sure she stays in the race to siphon votes away from Bernie Sanders. And Mike Bloomberg is now out of it. I mean, he spent, I guess, $700 million trying to buy name recognition that Joe Biden earned as 8 years of, as VP. And it just didn't work. I mean, Mike is just so condescending. The advertisements were so awful, and he could have just set the money on fire. Or maybe better yet, Mike, you could have spent the money actually helping people, because you don't have to be president to help people, right? You know that, but this is not, this is obviously not about helping people for mini Mike Bloomberg, okay? And it's become painfully obvious that Joe Biden is the establishment candidate that can be controlled because he's completely empty suit. He can't complete an English sentence. He went on Chris Wallace recently, and Chris Wallace called him out on some of his recent gaffes. Just a handful, not the whole laundry list. Joe brushed it off like it was no big deal, and then proceeded to call Chris Wallace Chuck Todd. So that's who we're dealing with. He said, I don't know how you do it so early. This is the man that's going to take down the big bad orange man, right? He can't even get up early enough to go on an interview and keep the name straight. So good on you, Joe. He also was protested by some people who hate milk, apparently, and he confused his wife with his sister. So the man's all over the place. The list is so long, it's incredible. The dentures, the eye, corn pop, it's through the roof. It's insane. And as I'm watching some of this coverage on the basic news channels, ABC, NBC, CBS, it's very hard to focus because after you know how crooked and corrupt these people are, all you can see is lizard people, right? I mean, George Stephanopoulos on ABC, Chuck Todd on NBC. I couldn't really tell you who was on CBS, but they just recently held the most disorganized debate of the whole cycle so far. I mean, it turned into a complete shouting match, food fight. I mean, it just devolved into nothing. And then they were like, oh, don't go anywhere. We got some more ads before we get out of here. So that was a mess. And as I'm clicking through, these people are constantly harping on the Latino voter and the African American voter, not realizing splitting people up like this is the reason you guys continue to lose. They're screaming at the left. They're telling people to go more left and make sure that everybody's a racist when they could just turn the other way and talk to somebody mild in the middle and be like, hey, here's my idea. But they don't have any ideas. They have no ideas. It's become abundantly clear. So they just yell and scream about racism, right? They also talked about how Bernie was supposed to bring out all these brand new hip young voters that were going to start the revolution, man. But obviously they didn't. Joe Biden, kind of swept the table. And my theory on this is very simple, is that Bernie voters are socialists and communists. And they just assume that somebody else is going to do the work for them. All right? And as long as we're talking about the whole establishment, propping up Joe Biden, why will Obama not endorse him? Okay? Why will he not endorse him? All it would take is a tweet and be like, oh, my homeboy Joe from back in the day, he is our guy, but he won't do it. Why? Is it going to implicate him in some corrupt things? Is it going to tarnish his legacy? Does he not believe that Joe is actually up for the job? Did he never like Joe in the first place? Did he do it silently by cutting these deals with Pete and Amy? What's really going on there? All right? And then, of course, Elizabeth Warren is completely pathetic. She couldn't even win the state that she was born in, Oklahoma. She came in third in the state that she actually worked in, Massachusetts. So it's clear that she is only there to make sure that some of the votes are pulled away from Bernie Sanders. Now, those two used to be friends. Not anymore. It's because Elizabeth Warren was never real. She was, what did they say? She was Hillary Clinton wearing a Bernie Sanders mask. Completely fake, Phony from day one. The woman lies through her teeth every time her mouth opens. All right? So I think that's pretty much it. There's still a long way to go. And we'll see how the cards play out. We'll see how the cookie crumbles. But at this rate, we're looking at a brokered convention, right? And I think everybody knows that Joe Biden's going to be the man. They do not, no, we're not going to get to a brokered convention and all the super mystery delegates are gonna vote for Bernie. No chance. So that's it. That's all I got. Brief notes on Super Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed it. Please check back every Wednesday night, every Sunday night, and have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening.